6 of Gongchig by Khenpo Rangdol. We shall begin lesson very soon. Let me invite Khenpo to actually join us in the classroom. Khenpo,
Okay. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, let me put you on spotlight.
Okay. Okay, just a moment. I hope it's okay.
Yes,
Khenpo. Okay, everything.
Yes, we are all ready for your lesson.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Very good evening and good afternoon and good morning to all Dharma brothers and sisters. And I'm very happy to see all of you again. And I'm so happy that quite a number of Dharma brothers and sisters keep joining for this Gongchig lesson regularly, no matter the quantity, but quite a number of the quality students are taking a part in a regular basis. So that's I'm so happy about that, and it is not really easy. When we start the first lesson at the beginning, so there was actually more than 250 participants, and of course later on the number is reduced, but it's not easy to keep going, keep listening to teachings, and also kind of like because in order to do regular basis, so you need to make a kind of determination and commitment. Then also you have to manage your schedule. So it's not so easy for many of the peoples. But I'm so happy that many of you are there, so that we could complete the whole Gongchig lessons in the future. So today is, I think, 6 the lesson. So we already talked about the 3rd chapter regarding the Vinaya importance of the Vinaya vow. And then now today we are going to start on the chapter 4, which is the training of Bodhisattva. So now we just we are also trying to move forward. So we already talked about the Vinaya vow, and then also the Bodhisattva vow is a bit higher than the Vinaya, because in the Vinaya is talking about more the importance of the external disciplines. So there are lots of disciplines mentioned in Vinaya: how to behave, how to eat, how to sleep, how to work, how to talk to people, how to deal with people. So the most of the disciplines are actually the external one. But now in when it comes to the Bodhisattva level, and then actually importance about the inner practices such as loving kindness and compassion, and
Y esta es la práctica interna.
Và chúng ta sẽ hoàn thành cái chương thứ 4.
The forward on the Tantra vow, so which is the highest one. So without taking much time, because since we have very limited time, so I better to start on our the main subject. So I hope all of you are ready with your root text. So now, actually, of course, it is very important that when we talk about the bodhicitta, so His Eminence, the Gongchig Rinpoche, whenever he give teaching, so he always emphasize on the importance of the bodhicitta. So in our daily life, so we really have to try to keep alive or practice of bodhicitta. That is very important, and particularly when we wake up early morning, we just try to try to cultivate the importance of the bodhicitta, so that whole your day, through the day activities can be combined with the powerful, the important practice, which is the bodhicitta. That is very important. In the text of the way of Bodhisattva life, the Shantideva also mentioned that bodhicitta is like a nectar. Bodhicitta is like a super kind of like great medicines. And bodhicitta is like the tree which can be fulfill all our wishes. So like that way, actually, it is indeed the bodhicitta is very, very important. Generally speaking, the motivation is very important. Whenever we do, the motivation is the foremost important. But then also when we talk about the bodhicitta is a great motivation, one of the greatest motivation. So as I remember, the great master Gampopa also, he mentioned in the jewel ornament of liberation, there he mentioned importance of the bodhicitta. So he said that there is no dharma which are not included in the bodhicitta. So some of the dharma are support of bodhicitta. Some of the practice of dharma are cause and condition to arise the bodhicitta. Some of the dharma practice are kind of like the way of the practicing. So in brief way, that the practice of the dharma are kind of the part of the bodhicitta that Gampopa mentioned very clearly. So therefore, it is important that we have to keep reflecting on bodhicitta importance, so that if we keep thinking and keep reflecting on bodhicitta, so that we'll step by step we will be habituated to practice in our daily life. It is very important that we have to listen to the Dharma teachings. Without listening, without having some information, we cannot implement into our daily life practices. But the most important thing is after we receive certain information, certain knowledges about the Dharma, and then also we can try to implement, try to practice it in our daily life. That is the foremost important. And then also, once we familiar with the practices, and then also our life will change entirely. It is quite, because the last days, the friend of the sister from the Vietnam asked me to join. I'm sure many of the Vietnamese here, the students who are taking a part in our lessons. So nowadays there's the famous kind of the program, like what do they call? ENG or something, ENG, which is kind of like the talking about the energy, kind of like transferring energy. So I was also told to join for this program, and then which last weekend I joined for 2 days program. It is very impressive, the teaching. But of course, the important thing is they also keep reflecting on, keep thinking about the importance of loving kindness. That you have to love yourself, you have to love to your neighborings, your friends, and others. So that if you don't practice of loving kindness, and then you don't receive the energy. So in order to receive such an energy, so we have to practice, we have to implement that kind of practice of loving kindness, isn't it? So I'm sure many of you already taking a part of this lesson regularly. It is very important. It is very nice. I really like that program, because without touching to the religious point of view, the Mr. Lee, I think the founder of this, the energy, the program, I think he is just without touching to the kind of religious background. So I'm sure that it's a benefit to immense of people, either like Buddhist or Muslim or Hinduism, whatever. So I saw on the other day there were quite a number of the people taking a part from India as well. Anyway, so that's just, so therefore important is that we have to keep practicing the bodhicitta. That's very important. So now here, the first, the Vajra, the statement from the Bodhisattva, the training of Bodhisattva, that one is, the compassion is claimed by many people to be the resolve for awakening, since the vehicle is made distinctive by compassion. Okay, so here is talking about that the many people, we no need to, referring somewhere who believe such a system. Even nowadays, there are many people that who don't have such a background about the philosophy. So many people, they mix up with the bodhicitta and compassion. So there are actually the teachings talk about the importance of the compassion. As I remember, the one of the great, the master Chandakirti. So he talked in the Madhyamika philosophy that importance of the compassion. The compassion is very important at the beginning, and also meanwhile is also important at the end. So he really emphasized on importance of the compassion. So therefore, some people think that compassion and the bodhicitta is same. There's no differences between bodhicitta and compassion. So they just got a kind of like mix up with the compassion and bodhicitta. So therefore, some people, they think there's no differences between compassion and bodhicitta. They feel like same. That is what many other people believe and they think about like that. But then Jigten Sumgon, his view is the compassion, which is in Sanskrit called karuna, and the resolve of awakening, which is bodhicitta. In Sanskrit, bodhicitta are different. The bodhicitta and the compassions are different. Why bodhicitta and the compassion is different? Because here Dharmakirti also mentioned the difference between compassion and bodhicitta, as well as also the great master Atisha. So he also mentioned that the difference between compassion and bodhicitta is the compassion is the cause to arise bodhicitta is not that's the kind of so therefore there are four causes to arise bodhicitta. The first one is one need to take kind of like special refuge. That's the one of the cause to arise bodhicitta. So special refuge means not only taking a refuge for to benefit to oneself. So in order to benefit for all mother sentient beings, so we have to generate, we have to take the refuge. That is the one, number one. And then second cause to arise bodhicitta is we have to the practice about the four immeasurable. So which are loving kindness and compassion, and then also joy, and then also equanimity. So these four immeasurable are actually the cause of arises bodhicitta. So therefore, when we talk about the four immeasurable, so compassion is already there. So therefore, the compassion is cause of to arise the bodhicitta, not as the bodhicitta. And then the third one is that in order to arise bodhicitta, one need to accumulate the immense the merit. So we have to accumulate a lot of merit through prostration, through offering, through rejoicing. So there are many ways to accumulate the merit. So this is the third the cause. And then the last one is that the principle, the cause to arise bodhicitta is to in order to arise bodhicitta, one need to see the guru as a dharmakaya. So we have to see our guru is as a Buddha, inseparable. The guru as the Buddha. So we have to see like that. So actually, it is very important. The guru is. I don't want to talk now. Maybe in later on, when we come to the 6th chapter. So there are actually talking about the guru. So there I will explain more about guru. So therefore, actually, as Jigten Sumgon, he thinks that the compassion and the bodhicitta is different because the compassion is the one of the causes to arise the bodhicitta, they're not the bodhicitta. So therefore, it's different. And another way of saying is there is one story that in the Gongchig, the commentary, the Dosherma share their one story. The compassion is actually common for everybody, not only human beings. Most of the human beings, they do have the compassion, especially the parents, they do have a compassion to their kids. And then also among the animals and those creatures, they do have actually compassion to their own the family members. And then also compassion is actually exists within the non-Buddhist and also like Muslim or Hinduism and all kind of, the religious, the people, they do have a compassion for their kind of family members, their followers. So it's kind of like the common practice. There is one story whether, I don't know whether we have time or not. There was a kind of like one story showing that in one occasion, the 10 non-Buddhists, the practitioner went to Tibet, the Mount, the Kailash, to do pilgrimage. And then out of 10, the 9, the people the pass away due to the heavy storm and heavy windy. And then the person left. And then also in order to examine by Indra, so he just wanted to see whether the non-Buddhist the practitioner, whether he has genuine compassion or not. He just want to examine on him. So therefore, the King Indra, he manifests as an ordinary the person. And then also he manifests one old and very weak dog. And then also he manifests one the cushion, one seat. And then also he put that weak old dog on the cushion. And then he told to the non-Buddhist the practitioner was saying that you can just push away the dog from the cushion, from the seat, and then you can sit on that throne, so you won't die from the heavy storm. And then the non-Buddhist practitioners, he replied, it's okay for me to die from the wind and storm, but it's not really good to push away the dog. We have to pay, the compassion to the dog. So that's also can prove that the non-Buddhists and the common people, they do have kind of like the genuine compassion. So therefore, the bodhicitta and the compassion is totally different. So when we talk about the compassion, actually the motivation that what we have is that we want to the all sentient beings, that we want to free from suffering and cause of suffering. So that's the kind of like definition or characteristic of the compassion, is that having a kind of intention that I want to make all sentient beings free from suffering and cause of suffering. That much is compassion. And then when we talk about the bodhicitta, actually Buddha Maitreya also, he said that there's a two kind of characteristic need to be combined to make a authentic the bodhicitta. The one is that the cultivating the bodhicitta, that to achieve Buddhahood, and then in order to benefit for all mother sentient beings. So there's two types of the motivation need to combine in order to arise the genuine bodhicitta. So that's very important. So that's how the differences between the bodhicitta and the compassion. So now I hope it's clear for you. Now the second Vajra statement is, the people claim that since the arising of the resolve for awakening is uncertain, the vow of the Bodhisattva have no support. That's what other people believe. So what does it mean? No support means in order to arise the bodhicitta, is not necessary to have a support. Example, in order to build the first and second floor, so we need to have support. In order to build second floor, we need a first floor. In order to build third floor, we need a second floor. Without first floor, we cannot build the second floor. Similar to that way, actually, the Jigten Sumgon, he believed, and also many, the great master, they do believe that in order to arise genuine the bodhicitta, so one need to have support as the Pratya Moksha vow, which is the Vinaya vow. So altogether, there are 7 the different kinds of the Pratya Moksha, which is the Vinaya vow. The 7 are here. Actually, the mention. I just would like to quote the Atisha. What Atisha he said that those who continuously process the one of the 7 classes of the Pratya Moksha, possess the possibility of obtaining the vow of the Bodhisattva, other do not, is very clearly mentioned. Adita mentioned that if we do not have support to arise the bodhicitta, so there do not arise the bodhicitta, so we need to have a support as the Vinaya vow. So altogether there are 7 classes. There's a 2, the full ordination, which we call bhikshu, in Sanskrit called bhikshu, in Tibetan we call gyalong, the female and male bhikshu, the bhikshun and bhikshuni, full ordination 2. And then the female and male, we call it Sharma Nirya, Sanskrit, but in English usually call it novices, and the female and male 4. And then 2 kind of upasika, female and male 6. And then also another one is that actually there's a female is another separate vow, which we call that kind of like candidate. In order to arise the full ordination, the female need to have another special vow, which we call like additional one. Sorry, the additional the vow. So altogether 7 the classes that the Vinaya vow. One of these 7 the Vinaya vow need to be as a support to arise the bodhicitta. So here the Jigten Sumgon said that the vow of the Bodhisattva, the disciplines, conduct have a support. So without support, there's no need to arise the bodhicitta vow. This is very important. So therefore, I think the last maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I told that even when the Vajra master, when they confer initiations, before the initiations, so then we need to cultivate the refuge vow, and then also we have to cultivate bodhisattva vow, and then after that, the Vajra master confer the tantra vows. So without other 2 as a support, there's no way to arise the tantra vow. So therefore, it is important that we need to have support. Some people say that in order to arise the bodhisattva vow, do not need support. The reason is that the bodhisattva vow is like a clay pot. Clay pot, you understand? When the clay pot fell down from our hand, it will break. Totally, it will break. It cannot be repaired because the clay is, when we fell down, something that like pot or maybe cups, whatever made out of semiric or clay, so then it will be totally, will go into maybe 10 pieces or 100 pieces. If the container is very big, then it's going to be 100 pieces. So it's difficult to make it, difficult to repair it. So the bodhisattva vow is like that, like the container which is made out of the silver or gold. If the container or the pot made out of silver or gold, if it fell down, it will damage some part, but it still be is repairable. It can be repaired. It's not going to break totally. So therefore, this is the kind of like the 2 example to the Vinaya and Pratya Moksha. So therefore, some say that if Vinaya need to be as a support to the bodhicitta, and then if Vinaya, the vow once break, and then also the bodhisattva vow also need to be break because it is as a support. Example, if the wall be kind of if they got some damage on wall, and then certainly the painting on the wall will automatically going to have kind of damage. It's similar like that way. That is what other people believe. But the Jigten Songkhwan, he said that we do need to have the Vinaya, the vow, in order to receive the Bodhisattva vows. So that is the Jigten Songkhwan view. So I hope that much enough explanations. So now the Vajra statement, the third one is people claim that the actualizations of the resolve arises only after a Bodhisattva stage has been achieved. Actualization means actually engaging Bodhicitta. When we talk about the Bodhicitta, there are many different kind of Bodhicitta, relative Bodhicitta, and absolute Bodhicitta. And then when we talk about the relative Bodhicitta, there are two. One is the wishing Bodhicitta, and another one is we call that actualization Bodhicitta, or we could say also engaging Bodhicitta. Whatever, there's many different the English terms for that way to express. So people claim that the actualization of the resolve means that you're talking about the Bodhicitta, arises only after a Bodhisattva stage has been achieved. So that means it cannot be arises, the actual actualization of the Bodhicitta cannot be arise within the ordinary practitioners. Altogether there are 5 the path. I think last time I talked about the 5 paths. Accumulation path, the first one, and then second one is preparation path. So these 2 are actually belongs to ordinary, the ordinary practitioner. And then when we reach the third path, which is the seeing path, and then cultivation path, and then the last one is no more learning path. So these 3 are actually belong to the Bodhisattva stage. So that means the ones who reach that the first Bhumi level, when reach as the first seeing path, and that's what we call as a Bodhisattva stages. But the Jigten Songkhwan, he said that the actualization of the resolve also arises for ordinary beings. The reason why the many master is saying that the actualizations of the Bodhisattva cannot arise is at the ordinary people is, so there are actually 3. When we talk about the engaging Bodhisattva, it's easy to say, I think engaging Bodhisattva, we said, in order to, when we talk about the engaging Bodhisattva, so there are 3 types of classification. The first one is, we call that is the discipline conduct of, so the practice of discipline conduct.
就是修持这个戒律。
One engaging Bodhisattva, and then second part of the Bodhisattva is the discipline conduct of the gathering the virtuous factor. That's the second one. And then third, the engaging Bodhisattva is the conduct of benefiting sentient beings. So there are 3 the practices within the engaging Bodhisattva. And then when it applies, when these 3 practices combined with those paths, the many people think that the first 2, the practice of the engaging the Bodhisattva is practices during the path of accumulation path, and as well as the preparation path. The only the last one, which is the conduct of benefiting sentient being, that one will be practiced by the first Bhumi, the person who reach the first path, the seeing path, to all the 10 the Bhumis level they practice. So therefore, the engaging Bodhisattva cannot practices by the ordinary people or ordinary Bodhisattva. But the Jigten Songkhwan said that more or less, of course, more or less, but the complete the practice of engaging Bodhisattva is, of course, only when we reach the final stage as a the Buddhahood, then one can be complete the practice of engaging Bodhisattva. But the more or less other Bodhisattva, even the Bodhisattva who do not reach as the first Bhumi level, who do not reach as the seeing path, but still they do have the practice of the engaging bodhicitta. That's what Jiten Songgon he meant to say. As right from the beginning, as I mentioned, that Jiten Songgon, his view is very flexible one. You know, he's not really. He never talk about the kind of extreme view. He's more flexible one. And then when we are always try to say in a flexible one, it will actually naturally it will motivate other people to engage into the practices. You know, otherwise if we are too strict and if we are not really enough skillful, so we cannot benefit much more. So therefore, as a bodhisattva, they need to have the skills and methods. They need to have always while they are practicing the bodhisattva path. So therefore, sometimes the bodhisattva also need to manifest as a beggar. Sometimes bodhisattva manifest as a elephant and deers and wild animals. Sometimes bodhisattva also manifest as a kind of hunter. You know, there are many life stories that bodhisattva manifest in a different form, the higher form and then also lower form, in order to benefit for other sentient beings. So that is the kind of one way of practices. I clearly see that the Jiten Songgon, his view is kind of like more the flexible way, and then as well as he's not really too extreme. He's not really extremism. He's kind of like he never stick on the particular topic. That's what Jiten Songgon he tried to explain. So I think that for us as we ordinary people, we don't know actually who are ordinary. Buddha said that we cannot make judgment on each other who are ordinary and who are bodhisattva, because it's very difficult to judge such things. But however, so for us, I think that Jiten Songgon, his view is kind of more manageable for us, since he expressed in a very kind of flexible way. Okay, so that is the third one, and now the fourth one is the people claim that if one is unable to train in all three observance, this will not become an actualization vow. Actually, similar, all these the Vajra statements are actually related to each other. You can see the first is talking about the difference between bodhicitta and compassion, and then actually the second one is talking about whether do we need to have a support to arise bodhicitta or not. You see, and then the third one is talking about the what is the engaging bodhicitta, whether that engaging bodhicitta will arise within the ordinary people or not. You see that one, and then also related to that, the third Vajra statement.
第四个寄颂说道，Jiten Songgon认为任何一种善行将会是持守菩薩的行儀。
Because the previous
La visión previa es
observance, which is the
Ngài
three,
nói về những điều Ngài quan sát thấy, việc thực hành.
which I already explained. So some people say that people claim that one is if one is unable to train in all three, we cannot train all the three of engaging. That's the practices, as I mentioned earlier, the discipline, the practice of discipline conduct of vow. This is one. The second one is discipline conduct of gathering the virtuous factor. The second one, and then third one is conduct of benefiting sentient beings. These three are the part of the engaging bodhicitta. If these three the practices or three observances are not complete, if we cannot train all these three completely, and then will not become an actualization vow. I mean, you are not fully endowed with the engaging bodhicitta. So that's what other people are saying. And then Jiten Songgon said that any kinds of virtue action out of the three, any kind of the virtue action will lead to observance of the disciplined conduct of the bodhisattva. We no need to have all three. As I mentioned in the first, the previous one, all complete the practice only managed by the the Bodhisattva that who reached that highest Bhumi level, maybe 10th or 9th. So here the Dharmakirti mentioned, even within when we do the postation, so within the postation of the practices actually included all three all three observance. Here Dharmakirti mentioned that when we do the postation, and then certainly we will gain some the gathering of the virtues and some factors. When we do postation, we will get naturally some kind of accumulation of merit. That is the one part of the engaging the Bodhisattva. And then also when we do the postation, in order to benefit for all other sentient beings, that is also actually one part of the engaging practices. So therefore, Jigten Sumgon, he said that any kind of activity, that whether we do postation or whether we do the generosity practice, any kind of practices, more or less, so all these three, the observance are the completed more or less. That is what Jigten Sumgon meant to say, the fourth Vajra statement. And now the fifth Vajra statement again is related to the previous one. So when we talk about the previous one, and now the people claim that the transgressions of the Bodhisattvas would be twofold. Those the compress afflictions and those that do not compress them. You see? So then once we arise the Bodhisattva, the vow, the engaging Bodhisattva or wishing Bodhisattva or any kind of Bodhisattva, once we arise, when we generate the Bodhisattva, and there are lots of practices that which we need to accepting, and then which we need to rejecting. All the virtue things we have to accept it, and all the kinds of non-virtues and epileptic emotions and those things we have to reject it. So then when we talk about this abandoning things in the Bodhisattva vow, there's two different kinds of transgressions. So the people think that there is two types of transgression, which is the one transgression is the compressed affliction, means the one transgression is which is combined with epileptic emotions, and then another the transgression is which do not combine with epileptic emotion. That's what other people kind of like need to say. But Jigten Sumgon, he said that there are no transgression that do not compress affliction. They say there are two types of transgression. One transgression is combined with epileptic emotions, and then another types of transgression is not connected with the epileptic emotions. But the Jigten Sumgon say any kind of transgressions, any kinds of like wills, any kind of like transgressions do not compress affliction, means all sort of the transgression are actually combined with the epileptic emotions. So in a brief way, that all the transgressions are actually we perform sometimes out of ignorance, sometimes out of anger, sometimes out of attachment. So any kinds of the transgressions are actually performed through these three epileptic emotions. So therefore, Jigten Sumgon said there's no transgressions which is not combined with the epileptic emotion. That's what Jigten Sumgon he supposed to say. But in the Sakyapa, the Domsum Sakyapandita, actually he said there, the transgression, but not transgressions. And then, but the second one is reflection of transgression. That's the second one. And then third one is reflection of not transgression. That's four types of, it's maybe a little bit complicated. Maybe I better not to talk. Maybe the reflection of transgression means like that actually. If we commit, let's say, if the Bodhisattva harm somebody out of loving kindness and compassion, or in order to benefit to others, if Bodhisattva need to commit any kind of non-virtue, that's considered as a, it is not transgression because Bodhisattva have kind of pure intention, but since the harming activity itself is kind of transgression, so therefore it says that reflection of transgressions. I hope you understand. And then some say that reflection of reflection, and another one is kind of not transgression, but is okay. Another one is kind of reflection is not transgression. Transgression. Okay, I'm a little bit confused actually. Reflection of the transgression only. That is the, I think that's much is enough to explain. But anyway, in the brief way, Jiten Songwon, what he wants to say is that there is no transgression that do not compress. Affliction means all kind of the transgressions are actually combined with his afflicted emotions. That's what the Jiten Songwon he tried to explain. Here is very I like this. The quotation is actually this quotation. The quotation comes from the text composed by Arya Deva. I would like to read this quotation. Since mind is the principal factor, you see, since the mind is the chief, the principal factor, all the virtue and non-virtue of the Bodhisattva are virtue through their intention. You see, whatever Bodhisattva performed, whether virtue or non-virtue, any kind of action will convert into the virtue because of the intention. So therefore, many people think that whatever Bodhisattva perform, no matter whether virtue or non-virtue, all are actually automatically transformed into the virtue. But the Jiten Songwon, he said that is the virtue is virtue, which is combined with pure intention. Non-virtue is non-virtue, which is combined with afflicted emotion. So these two things cannot be mixed up. Black is black, white is white. That's the Jiten Songwon. Is very important statement from the Gongchig, you know. White is white, black is black. The white and black cannot be mixed together. I think this example also I already mentioned in the beginning of the second chapter. Actually, I just want to remind again, when we put mixed seeds on the field, and of course, all these different seeds will arise on the same field, we do say it's a mixed sort of plants are growing on the field, but it's not, I mean, when we analyze in a very kind of, in a very detailed way, so things cannot be mixed each other. It's grow by individual different causes. Similar to that way, Jiten Songwon, he said that white is white, black is white, and the black and white mixed karma cannot produce the mixed sort of like fruit. That's what Jiten Songwon mean to say. But in order to understand all this in detail, actually we need to study the Domsum that composed by Sakya Pandita. Then we will get to know all in detail. But I just don't want to talk much about all these things. There was lots of argument on this Vajra statement. Now the sixth Vajra statement is, the people claim that non-virtue deeds are permitted to the great Bodhisattva because they will become virtue through the Bodhisattva's pure intention. You see, that also is related to the previous Vajra statement. And many people think that, many people believe and claim that the Bodhisattva they allow to do all the non-virtue because of their bodhisattva, since bodhisattva having a pure intention, all the non-virtue will become, all the non-virtue will become a virtue. That's what other people, they believe. There is actually one quotation from the Shantideva, actually also mentioned that whatever the bodhisattva perform in order to benefit to others, so the things will kind of turn into the virtue. There is one the quotation. So therefore, many other people, they believe and they do think that as a bodhisattva, they allow to perform like 7 non-virtue, which are like 3 from body and 4 from the speech. The 7 non-virtue from the body and speech allowed to perform by the bodhisattva in order to benefit for other sentient beings. And then when they perform this 7 non-virtue, so that will transform into the virtue. That's what others people, they believe. Giving a reasoning that the quotation from Shantidevas and there are some other quotations. But the Jiten Sumgon, he said, there is no permission for a non-virtue that does not become a fault. You see? There is no permission for a non-virtue. The Buddha never give the permission to the bodhisattva to perform a non-virtue. If the bodhisattva perform the non-virtue in order to benefit for sentient beings, so bodhisattva need to experience those the fruit. Example, you know, sometimes because bodhisattva, they always concerned about others' welfare and other advantage, and sometimes also they need to, no matter what kind of like harmful things will happen to themselves, so they just give up their own benefit and they're just ready to do any kind of activity in order to benefit for others, no matter whatever the bodhisattva are going to suffer, you know. So therefore, due to selfishness, so bodhisattva, they do perform kind of like non-virtue. It does not mean that bodhisattva will will have this kind of like faults, you see. So there is no permission for the non-virtue, does not permission for a non-virtue that does not become a fault. So that so if the bodhisattva also perform non-virtue, so that's the kind of like the fundamental kind of the fundamental the power of the law of karma. So the law of karma cannot be deceived by either Buddha or Bodhisattva. The law of the karma is equal for all mother sentient beings. So there's no exception, even Buddha or Bodhisattva. So that's what Jiten Sumgon he mean to say. Now the 7th Vajra statement is, the people claim that skillful means of the Bodhisattva refer to committing non-virtue. Okay. Okay, the people claim the skillful means of the Bodhisattva refer to committing non-virtue. Because the Bodhisattva, the need to perform skillful means of activity. As I said, sometimes Bodhisattva need to lie. And there is actually one story that the Bodhisattva, when he was traveling in an ocean along with 500 the people, and then one occasion that as a Bodhisattva, he need to kill somehow. There's some story he need to kill somebody, and likewise there are actually the many Bodhisattvas. Some occasion they need to lie, they need to kill somebody, they need to steal something. But people say that when the Bodhisattva perform this kind of like skillful means activity, Bodhisattva refer to committing non-virtue. But the Jiten Sumgon said that if non-virtue did occur, its result will arise even for one who is skilled with regard to means. The meaning, what the Jiten Sumgon is saying is that generally speaking, when Bodhisattva perform the skillful means activity, most occasion the Bodhisattva perform skillful activity without touching to non-virtue, it will be the pure virtue. But if Bodhisattva will arise its non-virtue deeds, and then suddenly the Bodhisattva will arise the regard of means, this kind of the faults. That's the what Jiten Sungwan say. If non-virtue deeds occur, its result will arise. There's no exception, as I mentioned earlier, even for one who is skilled with the regard. Doesn't matter whether Bodhisattva, he has the skills, or maybe ordinary people who has no skills. So
无论是菩萨他是有善巧方便，或者是凡
so there's no exception for the Bodhisattva. Or Bodhisattva, he performed non-virtue because he is the very skillful person. So therefore, we cannot say he no need to experience the non-virtue. So it's the same for everybody. Okay, now the eighth Vajra statement is, out of great compassion and good aspiration are formed for the benefit of others, and the suffering of others is exchanged for one's own happiness. Yeah, this is another very important the practice. The people think that since the Bodhisattva, they do have great compassion and then good aspirations in order to benefit for all mother sentient beings. And as a Bodhisattva, they do allow to practice of the exchange practices. That means like giving our own happiness to others, others suffering also taking oneself. That kind of like the exchange practices are actually necessary to perform. That what I think that many people, we do think, oh, sometimes also jokingly, we used to say, many people, you know, jokingly sometimes, oh, are you Bodhisattva? We say, yes. Oh, if you Bodhisattva, then can you give me your, maybe, or, you know, if other person have something very precious one, and jokingly sometimes, are you Bodhisattva? So, yes. Then can you give me your, maybe iPhone, or maybe, can you give me all your property because you are Bodhisattva, you know? Sometimes I'm sure maybe you also making this kind of fun with others. But that, so the Jiten Sungwan, he said that these are cases in which the exchange of the self and other is full. The Jiten Sungwan said that, of course, as a Bodhisattva, actually we do need to practice of exchanging, but we always need to see the situation, and then we also need to see whether it is the right time to do the exchange practice or not. Usually we say like that, you know, when we are Bodhisattva, we say that when we reach at the accumulation path, and then application path, and then we are the ordinary Bodhisattva. And then when we reach that the first Bhumi level, then up to the 10 Bhumi level, then we can practice the exchange bodhicitta. So Jiten Sungwan, he said that when you are ordinary Bodhisattva, so it is more important that you have to pay attention to yourself. You have to protect your body, since you still have an attachment to our own body. So you are not allowed to just give away, you are cutting your limbs and taking out your eye, and you cannot give this, you cannot do this kind of exchange activity at the time of ordinary Bodhisattva. That time you have to keep, you have to give more purity by yourself. That is what I mean to say. And then when you reach the first Bhumi level, that time, so you are, the inner practice is already kind of reach higher level. So that time, so you can do the practice of the bodhicitta. We call that, what do you call that? Equal one. Equal means, you see, it's something like that. We need happiness, so therefore we try to provide happiness to as much as possible to others. And as other people don't like suffering. Similar to that way, we try not to give any kind of like suffering to others. Therefore, we try to treat all other sentient beings as equally. That is why we call that Darjan Nyampa. That's also one kind of the bodhicitta that we have to treat all sentient beings as equally. But as now, what we do is we try to treat ourselves in the priority basis, and then somehow it's very difficult to treat equally. You know, I think first we need to fill our stomach, and then also if remaining some food, then we always try to share others. You know, there are maybe very few people that to feed others before, that fill our own stomach. I think there are very few people to do like that. Even I can do. So treating all sentient beings as equally. So that is another kind of bodhicitta practices. So when we reach at the first Bhumi level, up to the 7th Bhumi level, so we have to focus on the practice of equal the practice of bodhicitta. That's what Jigten Songkhon says. And then when we reach at the 8th Bhumi level, 8, 9, 10, the 3 stage of out of 10 Bhumi, and then we can do the practice of exchanging. Exchanging means then we can cut our limbs, and then whatever, then we can just give away. So then we won't get any kind of like suffering, you know. The reason why we are now, when somebody hit to our body, and if somebody says something, maybe harsh word to us, we always get some kind of like angry. Reason why? Because we do have a kind of like attachment, you know. And sometimes also when somebody was beaten to our own kids, then we get angry. Why? Because he or she or whatever, or he is my son, he is my daughter, he is my father, he is my mother. So therefore, since we have a kind of attachment, then naturally it will also causes to arise this anger or attachment or whatsoever because of our attachment. So when the Bodhisattva will reach such a level, the Bodhisattva have no kind of like selfishness. They don't have any kind of like attachment to our own body. And then I think Shantideva also mentioned in the way of Bodhisattva life, when Bodhisattva reach certain level, even they cut their limbs, they don't have any kind of like the feeling of suffering. They just can cut their limbs as like we are cutting vegetables, you know. I think that is quite true, since we don't have like this kind of experiences, because you know, as a parents, they can bear with any kind of, the parents can tolerate any kind of difficulties, any kind of difficulties in order to benefit for their own maybe kids, you know. So that much the parents have such a kind of like loving kindness and compassion to their kids. So therefore the parents are ready to do all parents, maybe many of parents, they're ready to tolerate any kind of situation in order to benefit for their own the family members. Similar to that way, when the Bodhisattva, they can treat equally all mother sentient beings, and they can perform any kind of activity. So that the Jigten Songkhon said that as a Bodhisattva, one should not do the exchange of the Bodhisattva bodhicitta practices until and unless we reach certain level. There is one very nice the quotation from the Vinaya. I just maybe I can read that the quotation. Very nice. As a beautiful medicine tree, as a beautiful medicine tree, whose root and so on and whose eatable seeds must be protected from untimely use, although they are eventually will be given. So it is what the perfect Buddha, the tree of medicines. Okay, this is the meaning is like that. Our body is like a medicine plant. So when we plant the seeds of the medicine plants, one should not cut when the medicine plant just grow maybe this size. One should not cut that medicine plant. If we cut that medicine plant, maybe it will benefit to maybe 10 people or maybe 20 people, not more than that, because it's the branch and everything is very small. So therefore, when the medicine plant was very beginning time, we must try to protect and watering to eat and let it grow, let it grow, let it grow. And then once that tree is fully grow, and then if we cut that tree, that can be benefit for maybe thousands of maybe sentient beings. So similar to that way, so when we are at the beginning stage of the Bodhisattva, one should not just try to harm to our own body, because even we try to harm to our own body, so instead of accumulating merit, instead of developing our inner practice of bodhicitta, might is going to be very harmful. There is one story related to this one. One occasion, Sharipu, the Shariputra is one of the disciples of Buddha Shakyamuni. I mean, maybe one occasion, maybe earlier time. One occasion when Sharipu was a Bodhisattva stage, and then one person came to see Sharipu and then asked him, please, can you give me your eye? As a Sharipu, as a Bodhisattva, of course, he cannot reject it. He said, yes, okay, I will give you my eye. And Sharipu just took away, and then he gave the eye. And then other person that he took the eye of Shariputra and he put somewhere on the stone, and he just he put his feet on the eye, and he just squashed the eye. And then Shariputra said, what did you do? I like the sound of this squash, when we squash eye, so there must be some kind of like sound, there must be sound. I like the sound, therefore I just did it. So then Shariputra, he really regretted, why I did give my eye. It cannot benefit to him, or it's not a benefit to myself. I better to give up my bodhicitta and just remain into the lower practice of Hinayana. And then he give up Bodhisattva vow, and then also he become the Hinayana practitioner. So therefore, if untimely, if you do this kind of exchanging bodhicitta practices, you may lose your bodhicittas. It's very dangerous. So therefore, as we ordinary practice, we try not to, there was a saying like that, we ordinary people as like a fox, like we are like a fox animal, we should not imitate to jumping as like a lion, where a lion can jump, as we ordinary people like a fox, we cannot jump imitating as a lion, so might we fell down somewhere. That's what Jiten Sungwan says. So therefore, there is a case, but Jiten Sungwan, he does not mean that any kind of exchange in Bodhisattva will arise false. It doesn't mean that. There is a case. There is a point, There are this kind of case will be happen. So therefore, you have to be very careful whether you are reached to that level of the practicing bodhicitta or not. So I think when we talk about this one, we have to think very carefully, and then also it's not just saying by Jiten Somgon and just explanation by the Dharmakiti. Sometimes we have to think whether this kind of the teachings or whether is true or not, So when we just try to reflecting on it, and I think this is very true, So all these, the problems and difficulties are actually due to our ego, due to our selfishness, and then we are facing this problem, And then when we reach certain level of the stage of the Bodhisattva, and if there is no more ego, there's no more selfishness, and then even the Bodhisattva, they cut their limbs of the body, and then when they are saying certain the prayers of the the prayers of the truth, the prayers of the truth of the blessings, then they can also repair the part of the body whatever they give in to others. That is the power of the power of the truth, that we call it blessing of power, something like that actually. Yeah, okay. Okay, now, so now the next Vajra statement is, now I think if I'm jumping, then please remind me, I hope. Okay, now it is complete. And now 9 is, the people claim that through the cause harming a bodhisattva, one makes a connection to the result happiness. Okay, this is some say, because in the Bodhisattva, Shantideva actually he said that I pay homage to the source of happiness. Yeah, I pay homage to the source of happiness, who connects even those who harm him to happiness. So Shantideva also said, I homage to the source of happiness, who connect even those who harm him to happiness. So that means even the person who harm to the Bodhisattva, they are also connected with the happiness. So therefore, some people say that if we try to do so, we can try to cultivate good causes along with the Bodhisattva. Maybe we can make some offering to the Bodhisattva, or maybe we can just do some bow down, or maybe do some prostration, or maybe do some circumambulations, or maybe we just offer some flowers or water or milk or juice whatsoever, so we can make some kind of like connection with the Bodhisattva. So if we cannot make a good connection with the Bodhisattva, and then we can try to make a connection doing by some harming to the Bodhisattva. So that's what people believe. If we, whether it's the good or bad ways, once we manage to make a connection with the Bodhisattva, and then Bodhisattva will benefit to us in the future, since we already have some connections, whether it's good connections or bad connections. So Bodhisattva will benefit to us. So therefore, he said, the people claim that through the cause harming a Bodhisattva, once make a connection to the result happiness. So therefore, we can harm to the Bodhisattva. So there will remain some connection. So ultimately, in the future, in this way, Bodhisattva will benefit to us because of the connections that we met with Bodhisattva, good or bad, But the Jiten Samguna says, the no connection to the happiness exists through the cause harm to the Bodhisattva. So, but there is actually some story. Actually, there are many stories actually, like example, like the one king actually who first he harmed to the Bodhisattva, and he cut all the Bodhisattva the limbs, and then later on that king got very regretted, and then also he confessed all his all the negative karma through the 4 powers, or he managed to confess all the negative karma, and then later on he reached to the certain Bodhisattva level. So some people, they referring this kind of like examples, So even we try to harm to the Bodhisattva, and then the people also, they can achieve higher stage of the Bodhisattva after the harming Bodhisattva. But the Jiten Sumgun say, that is the not case, So if we harm to the Bodhisattva due to harming, sort of the cause are connected with negative karma, and also due to our ability emotions, that one we need to suffer kind of like suffering. But due to the confession, and due to our kind of like regardless of that kind of doing negative karma, and then if we manage to accumulate some merit, if we manage to confess all of the negative karma, so through that way, of course, we can achieve certain kind of the stages. But these 2 things we have to make separated, Due to harming cause, we will experience the fruit of suffering. Due to the cause of virtue, we will experience the kind of the positive one. So no connection to the happiness exists through the causing harm to the Bodhisattva. That's what Jiten Sumgon mentioned. And now, now the 10, the Vajra statement is the people claim that cause and result can be different in the nature through propellant action driven by virtue and culmination of action culminating in non-virtue. Okay. So in this case, there are actually the four kind of four types of the karma. Actually, we said that four kind of the karma. Okay, there's a four types of example actually. The propelling action means the which cause to achieve the result, and culmination action means actually the completing action. That is, the words like something different actually. Culmination action means actually the completing one. So here,
所以这边呢有4种。
where some say that the propelling action is the virtue, and culmination is non-virtue. As the example of there was one the disciples of the Buddha. His name is I don't know in Sanskrit, but in Tibetan we call Gelong Lekpe Karma. So actually he served the Buddha for I think around 24 years. Then after serving 24 hours to the Buddha, he was one of the main attendant of Buddha. And then after 24 years, and then he wrong view upon on Buddha, and he said that from today I'm not going to I'm not going to become your servant, and there's no differences between you and me. He says apart from the light, actually the Buddha, he has a whenever Buddha travels, so there's a light comes from the Buddha's the body. Apart from that, the body, the light which comes from your body, apart from that, so you and me are same. So even I am more learned. I learn more than you. So I don't want to become your attendant. And he got a wrong view, and then later on he passed away and he reborn in the hell realm. So there was something story like that. In this case, actually, because of the previous karma that this Gelong Lekpe karma, he accumulated merit. So therefore, he born in this life as a human being, and then also he managed to meet Buddha, and he also received many teachings from Buddha. But yet, so at the end, so he accumulated lots of negative karma, and he born into the hell. So that is the one types of the view. This is the propelling the action is virtue. Therefore, he met Buddha and he born as a human. But then the culmination action is actually the non-virtue, because he accumulated lots of non-virtue. That's the how kind of like example like that. And then the another one is that the previous another one example we can say like that. Maybe like I can't remember the king or the name of the king. The another king, Tibetan, I know his name is actually Makeda. So the earlier time, he always tried to harm to Buddha. He always tried to harm to Buddha, and he always talked about he talked bad about the Buddha. And then later on, so he regretted about all this the negative karma that what he did for the Buddha, and then he confessed, and then he become a kind of like the Bodhisattva. He reached to the Bodhisattva stage. So that is the kind of example of that. Maybe the fulfilling the karma is non-virtue, but then culminational the action is the virtue. This is the kind of the example. And then the fulfilling the karma, the fulfilling the action is also virtue, and the culmination is also action is also virtue. Is like the king Bimbisara, you know. So the king, the Bimbisara is right from the beginning. He always devoted to the Buddha, and then also meanwhile he always devoted to Buddha, and at the end also he devoted to the Buddha. So that's a kind of another example. And then the profiling karma is the action is also non-virtue, and the culminational the action is also non-virtue. Is like Devadatta, you know, the Tibetan we call Hajin. So he always, right from the beginning, also he always tried to hum to the Buddha, and then meanwhile always he tried to hum to the Buddha, and also at the end always he keep humming to the Buddha. So therefore, there are the 4 types of the karma that exist. But the Jigten Sumgon says that the results of the virtue and non-virtue occur separately. It cannot be mixed. The virtues, then result also will be suffering, and non-virtue, the virtue, the result will be also happiness, and the non-virtue result will be also suffering. That cannot be, comes together. The results of the virtue and non-virtue occur separately. That's what the Jigten Sumgon, the view is like that. I think as we already mentioned, the black is black, the white is white, and the true karma cannot be mixed. Through the mixed karma, that cannot be achieve mixed sort of fruit. That is what Jigten Sumgon is the principal view. And now the 12th, the Vajra statement is, the people claim that the wills differ from one another. Then Jigten Sumgon said that 3 wills are the will of the affliction. Okay, this is again same.
彼此不同。吉天松共认为3障皆是烦恼障，所以人们认为有3种障碍。
And then second one is the obscurations of epileptic emotion. That's the second one. And then the third one is the obscurations of knowledge of object. There's 3 obscurations. Yes, the wills is the same, you know, obscurations. And then many people believe that is the obscuration of karma will be abandoning at the stage of like ordinary path, like seeing path, accumulation path, and then also the preparation path. That time the Bodhisattva will abandon the karma of obscurations. And then when Bodhisattva reach from the first bhumi to up to the 7th bhumi, so the Bodhisattva will abandon the second obscuration, which is the obscuration of epileptic emotion. And then when the Bodhisattva will reach the 8th bhumi level up to the 10th bhumi level, the Bodhisattva will abandon the 3rd obscuration, which is the obscuration of the knowledge of object. So therefore, many people think that these 3 the obscurations are different. These 3 obscurations are different, and also the way of abandoning is also the different stages. It cannot be same. But the Jigten Sumgon, his view is that the wells are the wells of affliction, means the name-wise is different. We can say obscurations of karma, obscuration of ability, emotions, or obscurations of knowledge of object. We can say the name-wise there can be 3, but by nature, all these 3 obscurations are the same as afflicting emotions. any kind of obscuration, like if we perform like obscuration of karma, means like killing, stealing, when we do this kind of acts of non-virtue, we always perform due to our anger, due to our attachment or ignorance, other than epileptic emotion. So there's no way to accumulate non-virtue, or which is the obscuration of karma. So similar way, and then also obscuration of the knowledge of object or obscuration of evolution are same as that. All this, the three, the wheels are actually the combined with the epileptic emotions such as anger, attachment, and ignorance. So therefore, by nature wise, there are no difference. By name wise, there are three. There are three. You see, we can say like that. Example, like if there is a soup, maybe there must be, when we put something like the different flavors, we can say this is maybe lemongrass soup, this is tomato soup, this is the mushroom soup. The name wise we can say the three different kind of soup due to the different flavors, but by the nature itself is actually the basic, actually the prepare of such a soup is actually same. Maybe they just add up something, the different ingredients, so therefore its names become different soups or different food, but ultimately it's the same. And something like there are actually many examples. So therefore Jiten Sungwa, he said that by nature is different. One should not stick with the different labels or different names. One try to focus on abandoning the nature of epileptic emotions such as anger and attachment and ignorance. That's what Jiten Sungwa mean to say. Basically, we have to focus on abandoning the epileptic emotions. So that's the most important. I think also this, similar to these things, also already mentioned in the first the chapter. I think the first chapter also mentioned already these things. And now the 13, the Vajra statement is, the people claim that the truth of true reality, the dharmata, is realized by negating the wrong tenets and mastering the correct ones. But the Jiten Sungwa say, all systems of the tenets obscure the truth. Yeah, this is again, I think this similar, the meaning already explained in the first chapter, if you remember. All the tenets and all the schools are actually, I can't remember exactly the Vajra statement, but it's already mentioned in the first chapter. Some people say that is some people say that the truth of true reality, the dharmata, is realized by negating the wrong tenets. Means like saying, oh, this is the example. This is the non-Buddhist view. We try to defeat the wrong view of non-Buddhists, and then thinking that my view is the best one. And then also within the Buddhists, actually there are 4 schools. Remember that Vivashika, Savatantrika, Chitramantra, Madhyamika, there are 4 schools. And then also the higher schools like Chitramantra and Madhyamika schools, they try to defeat the view of the lower schools and think that my tenets, my view, my class, the way of the thinking, this is the best, and this is the correct, and other one is the wrong. So this is how actually when the philosophical way, all this the schools are, they debate, they argue each other and try to defeat the lower ones and try to prove that the view is the true, my view is the ultimate one. That's how they try to prove in the philosophical way. So therefore, many people think that if some schools that when they try to negating the wrong view, the others, the tenets, other schools, and also mastering the correct one. And through this way, then one can reach the truth of the reality. Means that one can obtain the inner realizations. That's the what meaning to say. But the Jigten Sungwan said that all system of tenets are obscure the truth. These things will appear in maybe the latter part of the Gongchig on the 6th chapter. If you think that, oh, my view is great Mahamudra, and then my view is the great perfection, like Dzogpa Khenpo, and then my view is the great Madhyamika philosophy. If we hold such a like conceptual thoughts, that touching with our own conceptual thought, thinking that, oh, my view is the highest, better than anyone else. If we have this kind of like systems, if you hold this kind of like systems of the tenets, that is obscure the truth, so that one cannot see the ultimate truth. I think that's quite because once we need to see the ultimate truth, our mind need to be free from dualistic mind. Since we keep holding the dualistic mind, thinking that this is your view, this is my view is higher than your view. This kind of the view, if we keep holding, and then there's no way to see the true nature of the dharmata. That's what Jigten Sungwan mean to say. So therefore, all system of the tenets obscure the truth. So if you really wanted to reach the ultimate level, if you really wanted to obtain the ultimate realizations, and then you have to give up the system of the tenets that's saying that my view is this, his view is that one, my view is the better. This kind of, the conceptual thought, this kind of the dualistic mind. So one must have to abandon. That's what Jigten Sungwan, the ultimate mean to say. Okay, now the 14th one is the people claim that the system of the tenets of Shavaka are not true. And the Jigten Sungwan said that Shavakas too perceive one part of the original state of the fundamental nature. Okay, this is again, the people claim that system of tenets, usually Jigten Sungwan said that, some people say that, oh, this is the Shavaka tenets, means Shavaka, that's the lower vehicle. Their schools they cannot see the nature of the reality. So they always try to look down on the Shavaka, the practitioner, saying that, oh, we are the practitioner of Mahayana or Madhyamika. We are holding the Mahayana, Madhyamika, the view, and then the Shavakas they are just holding only the lower view. So therefore, they cannot reach to the certain level of the ultimate level. But the Jigten Sungwan said that we cannot look down on the Shavaka, the practitioner, like this way. The Shavaka too perceive the one part of the original one. There is one example in the Madhyamika. He was saying that the Shavaka, the practitioner, they do perceive the very small the meaning of the emptiness, as like when we look through the how to say, I don't know, when we see the hole of the needle, there's a small hole where we can put the string in the needle, needle. So there's a very small hole in the needle, similar to that size of the holes of the needle, that much of the emptiness perceived by the Shavaka Buddha. And then Bodhisattva, they see the nature of the emptiness as such a very vast, like a space. So the more or less actually the Shavaka Buddha also, they see the little bit of the true nature of the meaning. So when we talk about the Shavaka, so it is very important that we have to remember, we have to know that all the schools, whether it's Shavaka or Madhyamika or Chitta Mantra, whatsoever, the one side of the practice, one side of the Shavaka are they just only believe their view, but they don't they did not realize the ultimate level of the like example they do not reach the high level of understanding of the true nature of the Four Noble Truth, such a things. So, but only those the Shavaka Buddha who already reach certain level of the practices, so they can also perceive the part of the original state of the fundamental nature. So that's the what Jidyan Sunggon mean to say. So therefore, we should not always try to look down, saying that other Shavaka, they did not see anything. So we should not follow their the schools, and we always try to abandon, and we always try to look down. So one should not say like that, and we always try to respect to the all other schools. And then also meaning-wise, they do see the little part of the original state of the emptiness. That's the one meaning of the Jidyan Sunggon he said. Oh, exactly, it's now 7:30. Oh, this is a good timing actually. Exactly 6 o'clock we started. Now exactly 7:30 now. I think we just better to on the Switzerland time. Maybe we have to end up our today lesson on this Vajra statement. Okay, so I hope you understand some meaning of this the Vajra statement, and then we will see next Friday, and I will just do a short dedication prayer, and we will end up here. Kono gondo bewara jo domba jedin kanso jamba temba yimo jindo sawa tenzin tajin geba temba yurina beta shi. Okay.
Bye, my Guru.
Please say a few words of thanks to Khenpo, and also please
Okay, thank you.
don't forget the translator brothers and sisters.
Bye. Bye, Khenpo.
Thank you. Bye bye. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you, Khenpo.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry that I don't know whether I do. Is there any questions, James? I'm sorry if you have really some important. Actually, the last time the James actually sent me some questions, but I could not reply. But if you have really important the questions that which you don't understand, we will try to.
Khenpo, I will share the questions with you. Maybe the next lesson you can spend a couple of minutes on that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very much.
And thank you to
Bye-bye.
the translator brothers and sisters. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, good night.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Whoa.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you,
Good night.
anh Hưng.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Good night. Sleep well. See you. It's my dinner time. I hope all of you had dinner. Okay, now. See you.
Brothers and sisters, please revise your lessons. All right, they are all on YouTube and also on Facebook. So if you wish to, please take a look at the Facebook posts. All the links are there. Thank you so much.